4 months ago, I had my second hair transplant. I was pretty much bald, like all over the top. I was NW5a, so-called. I was constantly thinking about my hair loss, and I was rocking a huge comb over before my first transplant, and it was, to be honest, pain in the bum. But then finally I managed to make this decision, save up some money, get a transplant, and since my hair loss was pretty severe, I had to undergo 2 transplants to fully cover my balding area. So on my first transplant we covered only like frontal third, basically the whole front, which was pretty much completely bald. There was almost no hair, except just a tiny like a forelock area. That grew well, and of course I tried to experiment a little bit with different lengths, of course mainly just to cover my bald mid-scalp and crown. And eventually, after a little bit more than 1 year, I had my second hair transplant to cover remaining area. A little bit of more density in my previous transplanted area, and also redefine my temple peaks because they lost the structure. And of course, I'm just at the beginning stages of my second hair transplant growth, but even right now, if you're gonna compare me how I looked before my transplant, especially if I uncover my comb over, and the way I look right now, crazy difference. If you agree, hit that like button right now. And of course I documented everything from A to Z after my first transplant, after my second transplant, which by the way I'm still doing. I'm 4 months in only. As well as I'm talking about different hair loss topics and what kind of drugs I'm using to prevent my further recession and hair loss, and how to find a good hair transplant clinic. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, so stay tuned for these videos. So as you understand so far, I feel great. It's pretty life-changing. For the first time in like years, and to be honest, I almost want to say in life, but it's not obviously, but in years that I don't remember when I had last time full kind of looking head of hair, the way I've got right now. Of course, it's not super good looking yet, it's still pretty thin, and certain areas are really, really thin still. Nonetheless, I've got hair everywhere. And let me confuse you a little bit. Right now, I've got possibly slightly less hair than I had before my first transplant. What the? And you may ask yourself, what the hell is he talking about? Well, if you understand logic, I just relocated some of the hairs from the sides and the back onto the top. So I've got exactly the same amount of hair, it just grows in a different place. The hairs are not growing out of nothing. It's your hair, it's just moving from point A to point B, so point A does not have any more hair. Do you understand? Hit that like if you understand. If you don't understand, comment down below. For those of you who've been following me for a long time already, you know that most of my mid-scalp and crown is not actually the result of my second transplant. Although I had some hairs that didn't shed for the post-transplant, hair loss, like shedding stage basically. But the vast majority of the results came from oral minoxidil that I started after my second transplant. So it's giving me a really great boost for this lots and lots of fine miniaturized hairs that I already had in this area. So they are contributing to overall thickness. They're growing longer, they're growing thicker, and overall it looks better. And yes, by the way, I'm taking finasteride 1 milligram a day every day for over 2 years. So yeah, 2 years finasteride. I just don't talk about it because yeah, it's been a long time already, and just popping my pill and moving on with my day. I don't have any side effects. Of course, I recognize you nerds, just like myself, that are watching these videos. Really like to see close-ups, high quality, like from close-ups, how my transplant looks so far. So you know what? Let's just dive into it. If you notice, I had a haircut quite recently, last week, and actually I took quite a bit of the length from my previous transplant area, from my first transplant, because until now, all the way like 3.5 months, I didn't touch this area at all. I just let it grow out, but to be honest, it was getting a little bit too long and it looks awkward, like it's way longer than the rest of the remaining area. So I decided to cut it much shorter, like almost twice in the length, and yeah, it looks great. I really like it. So I'm expecting to actually start seeing quite a lot of, improvement of my second transplant on a weekly basis right now, because right now it's 4 months after my second hair transplant. And if you understand hair cycles and how the hair cycles work, with the transplant, with the hair transplant, you understand that you cannot expect any results, to be honest, of your hair transplant for the first 4 months. For some can be 3.5, for some can be even up to 5 months. It all depends on your individual, how long is your telogen and catagen phase, and when you start actually shedding your transplanted hairs, because the average, like a telogen phase, which is a resting phase, where the hair doesn't grow, is around 100 days. As an example, if you shed all of your transplanted hairs, for example, 4 weeks after the transplant, like roughly 30 days, from that moment, 100 days, there should be no growth of the transplanted hairs. And after that, they will start slowly to pop in. And again, it takes a little bit longer to, for them to grow in length. And especially if it's like, for example, 5 hair graft, it takes a long time to break those, to grow those 5 hairs so they can spread and cover, give some nice coverage. So yeah, it takes a long time. So that's what I'm saying. As a general rule of thumb, 4 months is a good place to start seeing some new hair sprouting. So that's what I'm looking forward to. You know what? I feel generous today. How about a bonus? Let's have a look how my hair looks right now, wet.
12 seconds later.
There you go, just went ahead and put a little bit of water, and yeah, that's how it looks. Let's just comb it. So yeah, to be honest, it's pretty good, and yeah, even with the wet hair, it doesn't look really that thin, isn't it? Let me just try it out quickly. By the way, side note, finally I can be a little bit more harsh when I'm drying my hair. Before that, I remember I was like super careful, trying to, be babysitting my hair, because, I was shedding a lot, and this is like a really nice and strong hair. Of course, being on finasteride and oral minoxidil helps to prevent any further hair loss and shedding. So yeah, I don't have any 0 hairs. And you know how I could feel even better if you hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And of course, if you're still watching and you haven't subscribed, which is pretty much impossible, but hey, if you're still here, subscribe to the channel. You are missing out on a lot of useful content. Don't do it. Stay tuned. I'm signing off.